Those people are weird. The food is weird.
Just because it's different doesn't mean it's weird. I like it.
You can't be serious.
Maybe, for once in your life, try something new.
You just want to go along with whatever's happening in there. You don't even care what I want.
You just want to stay closed off in your own little world. But I can't keep wallowing with you. I won't.
That guy was a monster. Do you need any backup?
No. I mean, yeah, he was a monster. Are we really doing this in the bathroom?
Oh, it's the women's restroom, one of the safest places in all the world. Come on out.
Are you?
Am I what?
On your own. There's enough to share.
Enough of what?
Water, everything you could want.
I need you to learn!
To learn. Who could learn it?
Lawyers work. I know you. But you have no idea who I am. You don't remember me. We spent hours in that courtroom together.
No, please. No, stop, I'm innocent. Stop, I'm innocent, please, stop. Please, no.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Win, Darren. Win.
Thank you for coming on to the Downing Cut today. My guest is Ed Castaneda, an independent film director, a first-generation Mexican-American, combines his 25 years of software engineering leadership with his passion for storytelling through film. Since 2021, he has completed 4 award-winning short films and continues to create projects that highlight untold stories drawing from his cultural background and filmmaking education. Welcome to the Downing Cut, Ed. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Joe.
I'm excited to talk to you. I saw your film Bones I saw it twice. I saw it at the West Sound Film Festival and at the Seattle Summit, or the Summit. I know Ben's changing it. Kind of freaky, a little creepy, a little crazy, but it was so short. That's the thing that just kind of, I was like, that's it? There's no more? But I think it just kind of, it lingers, like it sets you up, and then the payoff. I won't spoil it for anyone. You got to see it. It's so short. It's like watching 2 commercials. I mean, you're good to go there. Ed, I want to ask. Go ahead.
I'll say very purposeful on the shortness there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to, with all my guests, I want to find out, how did your journey into filmmaking start? What drew you to it? What sparked that energy, that passion, that drive? And how did you get into it? I know we said filmmaking education, and what was that like? So,
yeah. Well, I'll kind of start just quick, kind of rewind, like, if you haven't noticed, I'm an old guy. I'm an older man. But I tried to be a rock star when I was back in like high school, early 20s. And surprisingly enough, right, that didn't work out. I wasn't rich and famous off of all of our original tunes there. We gave it a shot though, man. But during that time, I kind of toyed around with some screenplays, some screenwriting and stuff like that, and not knowing what I was doing at all. But I had some ideas that stuck with me, and like I forgot all about them. Fast forward to 2020, COVID hits, and my daughter was 8 at the time, something like that, and she started watching quote unquote real movies, like Harry Potter. And she started asking questions like, well, how do they do this? And I was like, I don't know. Let's watch some YouTube behind the scenes stuff. So we watched those together, and it triggered that whole like, oh, I have some scripts. I should dig those out because I still like the ideas. But I decided I needed structure. And I was like, I needed a little help to get some structure. And one of the silver linings for COVID for me is New York Film Academy offered some online programs, which previously, years before I had looked, they weren't available. So I signed up for a 15-week boot camp. I did 3 student films in that 2020. I came out of that like, yes, this is what I want to do. Like, no holds barred. This is where I'm at. This I got to do this. So,
what were those classes geared just for, like a director, for producing or filmmaking, or what was it?
So it was very broad. So I really like how New York Film Academy established this program as a boot camp program, right? Where it took you everywhere from development, screenwriting, and I talked to a specific screenwriting teacher, little bit on there, all the way through some pre-production stuff, through directing with actors, through cinematography, through lighting, through post, and all that. But very shallow. So we met like once a week for 15 weeks, and maybe twice a week, a couple of those times. And it was online, just Zoom class, maybe other 12, 15, maybe 20 other students. And each week was dedicated to a certain part of the filmmaking craft. So, and in that we had 3 assignments of student films. Like, first one was a 1-minute silent film, and then it kind of grew from there. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it was very, very shallow in what they went, but like I think enough to give a layperson, if you will, introduction. This is filmmaking, and here's some intros to it.
Interesting. Did they do any introductory to acting at all? Like, did you down that path?
They do. I after I was done with the program, I'm gonna forget the director's teacher's name, William something. He recommended to the whole class, like, take an acting class, and I they did have some available, but I wanted to bring it back closer to, like, oh, I want to work with an acting class here in Seattle instead of online, which ironically was still online. But I wanted to work with some actors here just to maybe we can meet, because everything else was all virtual. So one of the students in my class was originally from Seattle, recommended John Jacobson, and she had him in a class. So I ended up, after I was done with that, I took a few acting classes and eventually some directing classes with John Jacobson after that. And ironically, all those were still online because we were still in the heat of it with COVID.
Nice. I've taken a workshop with John. What's interesting to me is that your daughter, you said when she was 8, she started watching real movies, and then was like asking you, how did they do that? Which is kind of fascinating to me, because most kids, they just watch it and that's it, right? Yeah. They don't go, how did they do that? And it reminds me of my daughter. My daughter's 4, and I don't know, real movies, I don't know. My wife says I shouldn't be showing her certain movies, but we watch the movies, the fight ones, and and I said, I always ask her, I say, do you want to see how they did that? And she's like, sure. And then she gets bored.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, I was like, oh, they're talking too much. And I'm like, but do you see the green screen? Do you see the blue screen? Do you see how when they fight, it doesn't hurt and they're falling and they're doing stunts? And she's like, yeah, okay. So it's really good that kids kind of grasp that it's not reality. Yeah. So how long were you a musician?
I started when I picked up guitar when I was probably 14 or 15 years old. So all self-taught, like no lessons there. I actually practiced a lot. My father, my whole family watched a lot of TV growing up, but especially sports. I mean, my mother and father used to watch any sport. Like I knew professional bowling names. Like that's how much sports was on the TV growing up. But during the commercials, I would always have a guitar with me. I was hooked immediately as soon as I picked it up at that age, and I would try to mimic the tunes on the commercials and stuff like that. So that was, I mean, I did that for about a year, just kind of goofing around, and I knew almost every single jingle I could play just by ear and stuff like that, which actually helped me out getting into some bands after that. So yeah,
that's a talent. Did you learn how to read music then?
No, not at all.
No.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm old, right? So like tabs were just getting. I mean, like you had to go to the music store to buy tabs and stuff like that, and I didn't have money. We didn't have money, so like, I mean, that was a luxury that was very few and far between of having actual even tab music, let alone I couldn't read sheet music at all anyhow. So everything was by ear. Everything was by ear, man.
That's good. I mean, I played the trumpet when I was like in 4th grade, and I just memorized the fingering. 3 buttons. That's all you need. And if they said play an A, I had no idea what they were talking about. I think I kind of saw the notes and related that to which button to push, and that was it. But I couldn't remember the actual letters. But okay, interesting. Yeah. Well, that's good. Have you? I'm going to start going into these questions. Don't worry, folks. I just trying to get to know Ed. Have you ever made like a musical or anything that has to do with music in your films?
Not no. So I'm you mentioned 25 years of software. I haven't been playing that well, and I did a 48 for 2021 horror 48, and found out that one of the judges was the drummer for Anthrax, drummer or bass player, drummer for Anthrax. Kirk Normster, the one of the producers, mentioned, he's like, hey, he's going to be one of the judges. And I was like, well, I got to lay down a riff, let's incorporate. So I was talking to my composer, Wallace Simpson, and he's like, yeah, lay it down, go give me it, and then we'll go from there. and I was awful. Like, so, I mean, like, it's Friday, like 6 o'clock before they tell us everything. And I thought, I'm going to pick up the guitar and just lay down this fat, metal riff. And I was just like, oh wow. This is not what I remember it used to be like. So yeah, that was the closest I got to incorporating new music. I have snuck in a little bit of I was in a band called Fizz Band's Magic, and we had a couple cassette releases, and I was able to sneak in some of our music from 20 years ago in some films. So
Interesting. Did you keep that riff in the 48, or did you take it out?
I didn't even have a riff, man. It was so bad. Like, it was that's how out of practice I was, man. I was just like, whoa. But Wallace, we're different direction, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What led you into software development?
So I think when I was in high school in Toledo, Ohio, we were introduced to I think Pascal. Like, it was one class for half of the year, I don't know, 7th grade or something like that. And
Wow.
I had previously saved up paper route money. I was a paper boy, and bought my own Commodore 64. And so I used to mess around programming in BASIC, kind of when I was 13, 14 years old and stuff. So by the time I hit that class in high school, Pascal was just a different step further. But I felt I kind of knew it. I felt pretty at one with code, if you will, and I loved it. That was good. So I kind of had a knack for it. I had an early start. I tried to be a rock star, and age 26, life kind of beat my ass a bit. And sorry if it was I band broke up. I realized I was working at a record store, and physical media was going to be going away, and it was time to do something else. And I was kind of like, oh, I used to be decent at this whole programming thing. So I went to took some night classes and stuff like that, age 26, and yeah, I was good at that. I'm still decent, but like I don't code anymore. Like, I coded for a while, but I've been in management for a while, which is boring.
Yeah. I bring that up because I spoke to Earl Grey, who's also his interview will be coming up. He's in tech, and I was also in tech, and I wonder, from your perception, being in that engineering field and having that mindset, did that help you transition over to film, understanding the nuances of cameras and things?
Not necessarily the technical aspect. I think what has helped me is really move fast as a producer. So I can run the shit out of a project. Sorry, I keep cussing, man. I'm sorry.
No, that's right. You're safe. It's not made for kids.
All right, good. Yeah, man, I can run a project, and like, I've been doing that for a long time. I mean, I was kind of our band manager and stuff as well, but like, the whole managing of a project and managing people and kind of getting people corralled towards a vision and executing, that came pretty natural. And so falling into that producer role with all my professional kind of experience as a tech leader really still helps to this day.
Yeah.
So
especially at management. What I'll ask the questions, I promise. It makes me think of project management, but I want to say, so from your film classes that you took, what carried over that really stuck to you in making your own films?
I think that just having the enough sense of what it takes from beginning to end, right? That development process on refining a script, right? We went through some script revisions and things along those lines, and really, like, there's, I mean, even with John's class and stuff, of doing the script analysis of what are the beats of the script, what are you are after, and that we touched on it lightly, but like, even having that mental model in my head all the way through production, thinking about every move, every camera movement should be done with intent. How is that attacking your story? You have to have a point of view as a director here, because you just have to have a point of view. So even I didn't know that going into that. I think some people that might be a natural thing and stuff, but I think that sticks with me. Having a point, you have to have a point of view. Everything has to be before the story and the characters and stuff, and I try to carry that through as much as possible. But I mean, even down to the post production, like they introduced me to DaVinci Resolve, so I'm at the point where I can edit my own stuff, and I have edited a lot of stuff. I'm not great, but I got some basic skills enough to get some stuff done. But even more importantly, to help the editors I'm working with the vision of what we're going after. So yeah, I'm grateful for that course to touch even at a surface level all the way across the board.
I don't see Fire and Oak on IMDb.
It's because I am also it's a lot of it is me, right? So I just haven't got to it yet. So it's on my task list. If you were to look at my Notion board and all my different projects, creating the Fire and Oak IMDb page. I think if I set my target date is this Sunday, correct?
Nice.
So I have a few days left, but it will be there.
Yes. You're not gonna get marked off for that. But I did see Slated. I really like that. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, thanks, man.
Another film that you did. So now you've worked with a bunch of actors, and I've worked with Tabitha before on a few films, and she's really good. But let me ask you this then, as we go into the acting, what makes a good actor?
So let me preface this with I am not a good actor. I one of the reasons I took John's class was so dumb. Like looking in hindsight, because I was like, you know what? I need some on-set experience. I'll just come in as an actor and get on all these sets so that way I can get this experience. Well,
Yeah.
Oh, well, you have to actually be able to act, right? And that's freaking hard. I mean, like, it's hard. Like I remember being in acting class and like John would say, "Oh, do it in this different beat. Give me a different tactic and stuff like that." And I would, and he'd be like, "That was exactly the same." I'd be like, "No, I wasn't," but apparently it was. And I don't know. But so, what makes a good actor? I think that in my experience, Tabitha's a great example. She has practice, right? She has skills. Her process is there. She knows what tactics that she's going to be taking here, and she has an opinion on the motives for the characters and stuff. So someone that's coming in that wants to have an understanding of the motive and has the skill set of knowing the different process of building the tactics and kind of different techniques on how you go about that. And I think there's a bunch of different techniques from actors school in doing that. But my experience is like in talking to Tabitha, like we had such a great relationship on set because we were like, there are some things I was just like, I'm not sure if that's hitting well. What would she do here? And she would immediately try something different, right? And like, we would talk about it, but she had opinions and we would try things, and all we would have to do is talk in those tactics. And I don't know. That's I don't know. I think that gets kind of answers your question, hopefully.
So be prepared.
Be prepared.
Be flexible, right?
Yes.
And kind of know what the character, what the story is, where the character fits in the story, and have that drive. Right?
Yes.
Did I answer that? No, I didn't answer that.
I think you did.
So how do you balance your personal experiences with fictional elements when writing a story?
That's a good question. So, in some of my recent, I'm diving in all the way, including personal experience. I think that it's helping me write a better story. These are stuff I haven't done yet, so I have a few scripts in the pipe that I'm just so excited to get started. But I mean, there's some I can't say that word, autobiographical aspects to every single one of them that I think is making it more authentic, right? It's making I feel more connected with it. The one thing I've noticed, and as a director, and I've directed some things I haven't written, if I'm not connected to the piece, my vision's less, and it's really hard to get to a solid uh, opinion on how we're attacking the story and stuff. With the ones that I have personal elements to it, I have an absolute opinion. I'm still open. I think it's important to be open with collaborators, absolutely. But like I the personal experience, I think is what I'm experiencing right now, which could change next year, is adding a touch of authenticity that I think will help drive it even more, right?
So when you're directing someone else's script, how does that play out? Do you have the writer there with you? Do you have discussions, or are you free to just take it and create your vision of the story? How does that play?
I've done both. So I'll use Fire and Oak as an example. So Susanna Stengo is the writer of that. George Laws is the director, and I'm the producer. But we've kind of acted as a trio creative management team. And I mean, we had 2, 3 months of development, Zoom meetings, meeting in person, walking over the script, talking about down to specific lines. Why would Helen say this? Why would Eli say this and stuff to refine that? Because I think it was important that all three of us were on the same page. At this point, George driving the vision of it there. But as a kind of creative producer, I want to make sure that we're all kind of driving towards that same goal, right? So we got on set. Susanna couldn't be there, unfortunately, but she felt comfortable enough. I mean, she was kind of she was co-producer on Fire and Oak, but she totally in our hands, and she felt comfortable with that because of all the prep that we did prior to that. Um, but some other ones I've taken it and just ran with it. Like, all right, well, I'm going to interpret this and go with it from there.
Did you get any feedback after you were completed, and like how do you deal with the criticism or constructive criticism or feedback from what you've created that was someone else's story?
I don't know if there was much there, if I'm being honest, and that could be for a multitude of reasons. There, I think that everyone kind of believed in the same thing that we were trying to produce. That it was what it was when it came out, and I think we pretty much stuck to the script and everything there. So it wasn't completely drastically different. But yeah, no strong criticisms yet.
Okay.
Yet.
So what role do you believe a director's unique vision plays into elevating the script from page to screen?
It's again kind of back to everything has to support why these characters are doing what they're doing or why the camera is moving along those lines. It's up to the directors to visualize that, right? Take the printed words on there, and if there's a story beat, if there's a turn in a character, if there's a turn in the plot, if there's something that we want to foreshadow, I don't know, all these different important story beats. It's up to the director to be able to show that to the audience so that they get that, hopefully without a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Not context, but exposition, right? One of the things I like to try to do things with as least exposition as possible, and I think that's where you own that as a director. Maybe some things calls for a lot of exposition, but that again, it's up to you as a director and how you're going to make the audience feel your intention at that certain point, at the ending, at the here and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. There's a common theme. They say, show it, don't tell it, right?
Yeah,
That type of thing.
100%. Yeah.
How do you approach writing characters with perspectives vastly different from your own?
That's a good question. I try to go out and meet people of different characters. Fire and Oak. I mean, this is one that Susanna wrote, right? But like the one of the lead characters is the lead character is an off-duty sex worker. Don't have a lot of experience with that, so we talked to some people and kind of went out there. No, I mean, like, let's talk to people that are real people to help inform this there, because the last thing we want to do is make it all unauthentic or make it shallow, right? Along those lines. I have another script where it's called My Fat Feet, and it has to do with my mother recently passed in June, and so the main character is a Mexican American woman in her 80s, very much pulling from that personal experience. I have my perception of what my mother's character is, but I haven't lived like an 80-year-old woman. So, especially an 80-year-old Mexican American woman. So that's my next step. I'm going to try to go talk to people, aunts. I'm talking to people I know. I want to talk to. I'm going to start reaching out to some talent agencies for the characters I want, just to see if there's anyone within there that has that acting. That's an older Mexican American woman in that realm, to talk to them right there. I think some of the dialogue is flat right now. It's not where I want it to be, and I have the bones of it, but I need to refine it.
Is there any Spanish dialogue?
Very little, very little,
Okay.
And it's not coming from the mother, the mother, their lead character, is coming from her siblings. But very, very, very Spanglish. Again, and this is back to personal experience and stuff like that. It's we didn't grow up speaking Spanish in the house, and some of my extended family does and stuff, but it still comes out very much Spanglish.
On Fire and Oak, I'm curious because you said sex worker. Is there any intimacy in that film?
Yes.
And if so, how did you deal with that? How did you work with it? I guess you weren't directing it, you were producing it, but how did that come to play?
So,
what are the bounds?
Well, one of the things for sure is I want is safety on set. So George, Susanna, and I had not done an intimate scene before. So we hired an intimacy director, and how I was approaching this as a producer was basically going out scouting, putting out ads, and then doing interviews. Obviously, we did auditions and everything for the actors, but we did interviews with a series of intimacy coordinators until we were blown away by the connection we made with Shauna Potter, who was actually from Baltimore. So part of the budget was actually flying her out here, but she had such a connection to the story, to some of the characters in the story, and was a working intimacy coordinator. Not also to mention she's also a rock star of this band War on Women. But we connected. We connected immediately, and felt like she was absolutely the right person for this role and stuff. And it turned out great. Like she came out, she didn't know the actors, she had talked to them, done some prep work with them, but she has a process. She has a process on making people feel comfortable, understanding how to make this space safe, but then how to actually get some authenticity out of it. So there's some scenes in there. It's not graphic or anything super intimate, but I think the intimacy we have there is coming across way more authentic, 100% with Shauna's help of making it that believable because of the work that she did.
What can you share a moment when you had to change your vision during filming due to unforeseen challenges, and then how did it affect the final product?
So I've done a lot of 48-hour film fests, and I know you're familiar with those. Yeah, that happens every time, right? In terms of wow.
Does that even count? I mean,
I know.
Count. Come
on. That's fair, man.
You're always going to have something happen.
That's fair. All right. Do I have an experience outside of the 48 where something we had to drastically change our so Fire and Oak. We have practical fire. So we're gonna have practical and VFX fire. getting the back to the safety, we needed a licensed pyrotech, and we had to have all the permits and all the insurance and such. And this was my first time doing any of that. So on we had 3 days scheduled, and it was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday shoot for principal photography. We had a couple of pickup days after, but anyhow, Friday at noon is when I found out everything was secured for that. So we went into this with plans A, with practical fire, B, if we're going to have to do something completely green screen, or C, if we're going to have to change the script. So again, it's kind of back to the planning, right? We had the luxury of going through a decent pre-production process, and we knew this was going to be sticky. So I think we were prepared. I think we were prepared for whatever was going to happen. And then we found out that, hey, we can do this, we can pull it off. So on Sunday we had our fire day, but everything changed because we were only permitted to have fire outside of Harbor Island Studios. Harbor Island Studios is awesome, by the way. Plug for them. But so it's summertime, so we have to, and we're recreating a set outside, so we have to wait for it to be dark because we didn't plan for it to be bright Seattle sunlight out there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to wait till dark. So all that changed in terms of what shots we were going to get with the practical fire. And surprisingly, at one point we were getting set up and getting ready to do the first shot and tell the pyrotechnic to put it and to set it on fire. I looked at George and I'm like, I can't believe we pulled this off, man. Like I was just like, wow. And we had everyone around, like Kate Becker was there. Like it was a big moment for everybody and stuff. And I was just like, oof. 48 hours ago, we thought we were moving to plan B or C here. So
interesting. What for those who don't know what the Harbor Island Studio is, can you describe that?
Yeah.
And how did you get the space?
Yeah. So Harbor Island Studios is a soundstage, 3 sound stages in Seattle. So their goal is, hey, Seattle, we want to bring more production to Seattle. One of the things we need to attract larger productions is professional sound stages. So having the resources here, that's their goal. They acquired this space that was old, probably some kind of mill on Harbor Island, some production facility that wasn't commissioned. So very large space on Harbor Island here in West Seattle. And they have 3 sound stages where right now, as a local independent filmmaker, we can get in fairly reasonable. And it's just a matter of contacting their website and picking what soundstage. They have tours a couple times a month, so you can kind of tour them and see what state they're in right now. So they're not tracking big productions yet because they have to do some things to secure the soundproofing on the roof because the seagulls they hate you. Seagulls hate filmmaking, is what I've decided. And they have to have more restrooms because there's only single stall, 1 men, 1 women restrooms and stuff like that. If you have a large,
the whole place
right now and stuff, and they're fixing it, right?
Yeah.
But this is why, I think that I was able to get in through persistence. They're a very small team, but just kept on hey, we're Subliminal Ed Films. We're looking to film here, and got the timing right for Slated. I kind of presented this as, hey, we're doing a competition for this international film fest hosted in Ohio because we got Bones in there. We can showcase Seattle and Washington filmmaking, and that I don't know for sure, but that was the first time I got response from them and stuff. And
nice.
We went in there. They are incredible. Kate Becker kind of is the King County commissioner, or I don't know for what her official title. She runs it from King County Creative, and Nate, I forget his last name, but he helps kind of manage the facility. And they were just incredible. So much resources to help out, and just good partners to be with and stuff. So since then, we shot Fire and Oak there, and I've shot another 48 there. as well, and super accommodating. And like for Fire and Oak and for the 48, we were able to bring some set builders in, and we built sets and stuff. So right in the middle of the soundstage and stuff. So it was
Very
great.
cool.
Yeah.
Is there when you build a set, do you have to break it down, or could you leave it up and maybe someone else could utilize it, or how does that work?
Exactly. That's why it's working right now. And I think they, it helps out with the tours. We benefited from the Thai guys, right? So when we shot, I actually all of the stuff we are remnants of Thai guy sets. So they were gracious enough to kind of after they shot An Old Friend, which was also at Seattle Film Summit, and beyond, right? But they tore it down to the part of where there was just slats. So we basically had foundation to work with.
Yeah.
So it sped up our construction of the set, a day, 2 days, 3 days, just by them doing that. And I'm hoping the same thing happens for other folks from what we left, because we added more, did some other things, and we left some stuff too. So
Why would you choose to film on a soundstage? This might be a dumb question. I'm just going to ask it because there's some people that don't know. Why would you choose to film on a soundstage versus on location or in someone's house?
Yeah. So I'll give you your example for Fire and Oak, right? The most of it takes place inside of a hotel room. Yes, we could have actually probably got a hotel room with permits and permissions, all that jazz, and filmed on there. The beauty of having it in a soundstage is the control, right? I can't spill water which looks like tequila and also set anything on fire inside of a location. And I also have to work into the constraints of whatever they have there, and I probably have to worry more about insurance and everything there, not to mention just matching and having the ability, like, when we had the door open, we had this giant blue screen there, so we can control what the outside environment was. So it's really about control, and sound for the most part. The sound is actually decent. They have soundproof throughout the soundstage. It's just the roof where they don't have right now. But I think the seagulls, they ate me. They ate me, man. I mean, it was one of those things where you're like, ready on set,
Yeah.
I would call everything, and you're about to call action, and like they know. I think they know the cadence because they hate me.
That's hilarious. It's painful if I was on the other side of it, but it sounds hilarious to me.
Luckily, we've actually worked with some really professional sound recordists and even some sound mixers and stuff. Scott Taylor is one. He has some really great equipment. He knows what he's doing and stuff, and it has zero effect on the end product.
How do you handle the pressures of directing your own script, knowing your words will be interpreted visually?
Well, if I'm doing it, I hold all the accountability, right? It's up to me to kind of get that across. So it's up to me to be able to show. Again, back to even with Bones, right? Absolutely had in my head what was happening and what I wanted for that, and the contrast of I wanted between close-up shots and dark shots to the ending, wide shots and bright shots and stuff. And it was so intentful because that's what I was trying to play with, right? It was like, oh, yeah, can I do something like this? But it was up to me to, not necessarily words in this point. There's not a lot of dialogue in that. But it was up to me to pull that off, right? And I look at Bones and I think we got 80% of it. Like, there's part of it I'm like, I could have done this. I could have done this better,
Yeah, I think that's us writers, directors. We always say that. I've done that so many times. What was Bones? Where was that located? Did you have two different areas? Because he comes out of a RV, right? Did you film in the RV?
We did. So
it's so cramped.
Yes, it is. And I think the reason for this was partially we wanted to capture that cramped and like enclosed thing And the other bit, maybe we didn't know exactly how to pull off in a soundstage, right? You know, this was done before I even got in. I think I did approach Harbor Island for this one. Anyhow, but like I didn't know what was possible with soundstage. I'm so addicted to Harbor Island right now. I'm like, oh, that's where we go. Yeah. Anyhow, that we Wallace Simpson, who was the composer, also helped produce it. He got a friend. I'm not gonna remember his friend's name. Like we went out looking for an RV and did some location scouting, and we kind of were like, all right, yeah, this is we can fit these shots in here because luckily what we were after was super tight shots inside there. So it worked out.
Did you film that during the summer?
We did. It was summer. It was August of 2023. And I don't know if you remember the August of 2023, but it was a lot warmer than this summer. I mean, it was pretty brutal. It was pretty rough. And I got a funny story about that. We ended up, we rented 3 portable chargers, right? And I think we got this one through Glazers. Just this beast of a backup system that we were using it, and like I think by 3 or 4 hours in, we had used 2%. Like we had 98% left of the charger, using full power with everything there. And we were like, awesome. You know what? We can power this air conditioning on this on this RV because we're dying here. So let's do that. Well, 15 minutes later, we were down to like 10% after we started powering the RV's air conditioner and stuff. So we actually had to send James Gamble, who's one of our other producers, to his mom's house, who lives somewhat close, to recharge it while we shot the other part without the charging, just batteries and stuff. So
yeah. I mean, that's the first thing I thought was small RV in the middle of summer, no AC because of sound if you're capturing sound, and how drenched you would be in there.
Yes.
And then plus you had again, not to give it away, you had things that looked like guts that I don't know, would that smell in that heat? Did it start to smell at all in there?
How do I put this? The aroma of grown people, lots of grown men inside of an RV, overwhelmed any other smell that you can possibly think of.
Oh my gosh.
That was pretty. I mean, like we dropped the RV off at the guy's house with the gift card with some money and stuff. Like, hey, you're gonna probably need to air this thing out, man. Because I'm so sorry.
So on the producer list, things to bring is like spray deodorant or something, Febreze or something like that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't have to experience that. But I can imagine. What was the biggest lesson you've learned about storytelling from working on set versus writing behind a desk?
Biggest lesson between storytelling on writing behind it. I think that whole flexible thing. So, let me. Here's my current philosophy, which I have the right to change next week.
Yes,
but like
we will not hold it against you.
My current philosophy is kind of back to the what I want, and I got that. I'm not going to remember the name of the book that I read. I've read a lot of screenwriting books, but there's one that really resonated with me, talking about working backwards. So I like to start
with the end in mind.
Yes. So the end, what I really want to capture is that emotional, cognitive feeling that the audience is going to leave with, right? What do I want is the emotion I want to capture there. And I have the story around there that's going to help deliver that there. So I've encountered situations to where like we might want to change some things on the journey there on set and stuff like that. That's okay if we want this to end this way. We want to have the ending this way. Slade is actually a great example. Like we absolutely knew the quote unquote joke that we wanted to happen there, and we had a bunch of. I'm still debating doing a different cut that is a completely different, not completely different, but it would be a different story on the journey on the way there. We still have the same cognitive feel on that joke, that delivery, that kind of twist punchline, if you will. But I have a couple options, and we were just open to it during filming it on set of how to change that and stuff. So we're definitely not. Don't be precious. Is kind of where I'm saying. Like, have the end in mind, have your vision, have that end in mind, but don't be precious on every detail of your script.
So I'm looking at the IMDb. You actually wrote Slated, and it's a comedy. Have you written comedies before?
So everything's very collaborative. So I think I have Jim Dykes, who helped write that, and the story was actually by Wallace Simpson. We were kind of just brainstorming. Wallace was like, "Oh, what if we did something like this?" And Jim and I are the ones that actually kind of composed the script there. Same thing with Rock Bottom, which is on there, but it's not available right yet. That's also another comedy that we did. So yeah, there's a few comedies we have. I will say that I've also bombed some comedies. It's not my best. It's not my sweet spot. It's definitely not my sweet spot. I think comedy's hard to write. I think comedy's hard to deliver as a filmmaker. Or at least it's for me. There's other people that are better at it than me.
So that's why I wanted to go down this avenue, because were you with the audience watching Slated?
Yes. For not for the Seattle Film Summit, but I've seen it multiple other fests, a couple other fests and stuff like that.
How does it feel when your audience laughs at the jokes that you wrote? And are there any surprises, or did everyone laugh at the beats that you wanted them to laugh at?
Slated was pretty good. I'd say that for the 2-3 times that I've seen it in the theater with an audience there, they are absolutely laughing at the beats, and the ending gets the exact reaction I'm looking for. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you're writing, and you're writing the joke, and you're in your head, you think it's funny. When you're composing, you're directing, you're writing, do you in your head allow some space for the audience to laugh, or do you even think about that? You just keep on going. You know what I mean?
I think it sounds logical to say yes. Let's leave them some space, but I think that I haven't thought about it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you there. And I think that Rock Bottom, which is the one we did in 2023, is there's a few of them where the jokes are so back to each other that people miss some of the dialogue. Like, we didn't actually give them space, and like it was So the reason I don't have that on YouTube yet is I think Rock Bottom actually got some of the best laughs and like audience like laugh out loud type of reaction and stuff like that, which is I want to take it on a fest run, but I want to clean up the edit a little bit just to do things like that. And there's a couple things I think are a little dry that I think we can even make it better and have even a better audience reaction. And but it wasn't thought about at the script. It wasn't thought about during shooting time. Luckily, we got footage and we can do another edit.
Did you edit Rock Bottom?
I did not.
Okay.
So again, this is another 48. So I'm always there. I believe Jim Dykes and Alex, I'm going to forget his last name, helped
I
with
see
that.
Jim Dykes on there.
Yeah. But yeah, I was involved kind of helping direct the edit and stuff like that. For the long cut, I'm probably in charge of doing that one just because everyone else is so busy with other stuff.
What is it like to direct the edit? As a writer, director, you shot it, you wrote it, you know exactly how it's supposed to go. How do you relay that message over to the editor to say, no, this is how I need it to be? Or have you found an editor that you see eye to eye, or there's still kind of a collaboration issue or communication issues? How do you get that solved?
I have not experienced that where it's just I'm looking for that simpatico where we're reading each other's mind and stuff like that. I would say every experience with every editor I have has been great in terms of collaboration. So it usually turns out to be like, oh well, I think we're actually missing a story beat here in this edit. So we need to modify it here, and we'll kind of brainstorm together and do things along those lines. Just to try to capture what we're after. And like Rock Bottoms actually is a really good example. We what I had in mind for one of the dramatic scenes was Rocky 2, right before he goes to fight Apollo Creed for the second time, is that Adrian telling him, "Win, Rocky, win." And like I wanted to capture that ridiculous, like in the middle of this mockumentary, right? Is absolutely what I wanted. So that had to be the music, the picture edit, and everything all had to play perfectly together to pull that off. So we definitely cycled through that a bunch of different iterations to get that there.
How do you ensure that the themes of your films resonate universally while staying true to the specific message?
I think that I use Bones as an example, right?
Yeah. What's the message of Bones?
Well, I mean, it's more of a feeling, right? Is what we were after there. Like, there's some you can. I think if you dive deeper, there's some. You can interpret it a couple awful ways and stuff like that, and the awfulness was a vehicle for the feeling, is what we were trying to get there. Similar to Slated, like it was just a vehicle for that cognitive feel of what we were trying to get people to feel at the end of it. There, kind of Bones. You have your first ride shot and it's bright, but everything you've seen beforehand makes that an unpleasant experience. Is kind of where they or kind of oh my god, and that tone there. So I think how that resonates is I I hope that people experience that human emotion with it there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Fire and Oak, what we're after there is really about this relationship. There's a lot there but at the end of the day, the push and pull between these two characters is relatable. Everyone's been in relationships where it's kind of hot and you're kind of this is going somewhere, and you've also been in relationships where this is bad, this is toxic and not good. And I think there's that element of truth across there that I think that people of bunch of different walks of life can relate to that.
Well, this next question kind of goes along that path: is what techniques do you use to invoke that emotional response from your audience without over explaining or relying on dialogue?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, Bones is a micro short, right? So it's a lot easier to do with that. But I think there's two lines of dialogue through that thing. And what I kind of said this, but like what we were after, how we were going after that is, let's make each reveal of what's happening inside the camper a little bit more sus of what's going on until you see the end and kind of why it's open. And we still don't explain exactly what's happening there, and purposely there on that one. But I mean, 100%. What are you doing from the different shots and the lenses that you're using and how deep you get, and your lighting. Nikki Smith was our gaffer on that, who did an awesome job just capturing the inside darkness that we wanted for that. So yeah.
How many lights did you use?
I want to say 3, 4.
Wow.
Yeah, we were pretty scrappy for Bones and stuff, but I think because of working into that closed space and stuff, we were able to pull that off.
When working on a tight deadline or limited resources, how do you maintain creative integrity in both writing and directing?
I think deadlines are just a great constraint. There was a meme on social media I saw a while back that said, I work very well under pressure. Also I don't work otherwise. So, and that kind of sums up like how where I like if I think a lot of people are like that, right? you have a deadline. That's just a constraint and forcing you to kind of think about, all right, how do I get to that deadline when I have that? Even 48s are crazy constraints, right? No one can no one can do a good movie in 48 hours. We've managed to luckily pull off a couple. But it's those constraints that are really like, we have to cut our, what I've learned on 48 is don't wait to the edit to make your film meet the timeline constraint, right? Cut your script. I don't want to leave Friday night with anything over a 5-page script. So that's one of the things, we're using constraints to our advantage to help us really condense what is the feel we're after, what are we going there. Yeah, right. That's what we're going after. Like, those are constraints. So let's not leave Friday night with a script over 5 pages. I've been in many a times when we look at the shot list and where we're at on time wise and stuff like that all right, we have, 20 shots that we're trying to do today. We're at lunchtime and we have 4 done, which means there's no way we're going to get 16 done. So how do you pull what's important? What do we need the audience to feel? And what do we go ahead and pull and cut during that shoot time and stuff like that? And then you decide, like, for 48s, that's it. Yeah, that's what you have to work with. For Fire and Oak, we did the same thing and decided we're going to have a pickup day. And like, we're not going to sacrifice missing these shots. We're going to prioritize these, and then these ones we're going to save for a pickup day. And what we did for Fire and Oak was we basically took all the green screen ones and shoved those into our pickup day, and we had that.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
Yeah.
What now you mentioned 48s. What makes you go towards like a 48-hour festival or a contest versus the scripts that you have, or writing and developing your own film?
Kind of addicted, if I'm being perfectly honest. There's something about so I want to do both. Like, let me just answer that. Like, I absolutely want to do both, and I want to be particular on the non-48s I'm working on, because that's where I'm going to spend a lot of time. With the 48s, there's something about going in Friday night and not having a clue what you're doing, and having worked with some people, having not worked with a lot of these people. And what I usually do, how I run a 48 is, if we turn it in on time, I'll have a viewing party at my house on Sunday night, around 8 or 9 p.m. after we've submitted and stuff like that.
Nice.
Having that short of it's a roller coaster. You've made films, like, that feeling of seeing a finished product within 48 hours is it's kind of addictive, man.
So you're a man that strives under pressure. It sounds like you love that pressure to kind of just keep on going. But I have to commend you, because the 48s I've been a part of, I've never been able to see it until it was on the screen. So for you to be able to screen it for your cast and crew, that's amazing.
It's fun. Like, the last one we did, so we didn't win any awards for the last one, the Family Strain. Super proud of it. And I think the thing I love the most about it is, I want to say 90. I had a 26-person crew on that, which is crazy for a 48.
26?
Yeah.
26? How did that happen?
I don't know. We just started like, hey, you want to come join us and stuff like that? And yeah,
just started recruiting everybody.
So actors. So what I did with the actors is, Mark Fox, he's a staple. Like, I've worked with him so many times, and back to that, we are simpatico. Like, he does stuff. I don't direct Mark. Mark just delivers, right? Mark just delivers. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a couple of actors I work with that are on that level. But the one thing I like doing is giving other folks a shot, right? So we had a couple of people who are, I think, first or second time on film, doing that. And I think that's a good, give them experience and stuff like that. So that initially I was going to have 3 actors. I started talking to more people on Facebook. I was like, all right, well, let's have 6. So we went to that route, and like, all right, we capped it at 6. I did have to tell a few people no, which kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But then the crew rise, Jason Glenn, who is a DP, he just graduated, got a MFA at Seattle Film Institute. He has a whole group of people he's been working at the Seattle Film Institute. So he's like, hey, what I like to do is, if you're a department head, You own that. Tell me what you need. I'll help recruit as a producer. But if you know people, tell me the spots you need and stuff like that. So he brought a crew of people and stuff. I have my core people, Jim, Wallace, Amy Phillips, who does our makeup. She's done every single makeup, hair and makeup for me. I have a solid crew there, so absolutely bring those in. Next thing you know, we have 26 people involved, and yeah. But anyhow, so like where I was getting at, the thing that I love about this past one, almost everyone showed up. People that didn't show up couldn't because they had prior commitments. I had a full house. They brought their friends, some partners, and other things, and like I had a full house. I had probably 40, maybe 40 people in my living room watching this, and it was a party. It was a celebration, and I loved seeing how happy everyone was, and that's super rewarding there. So yeah, that was great, man.
I have this synopsis of Fire and Oak, but in your own words, what is Fire and Oak really about? Is it just focus on relationships? It's about a relationship?
It is. So there's subtext, right? So I'll give you. I'm not going to give you the subtext. I'm going to give you the story on its surface. It is about Helen, who is an off-duty sex worker who's attracted to Eli, who's on his honeymoon by himself. So there's mystery on how and why they're even in the same place together, and we don't explain that. But like they're at a hotel, and like they're gonna are they gonna hook up or are they not and stuff. And it's about them discovering and sharing or not sharing about themselves and being open and honest in their relationship. Should you not? And what does that do to a new budding relationship? Does it help embrace it? Does it help develop it? Or does it implode and make it go up in flames?
That's good. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It's in post right now?
It is in post. Yep. We did a crowdfunding campaign for that. Didn't get quite what we want, but 85%, maybe 86% is our first time doing that. Tons of lessons learned there. Shout out to all the fire starters, all of the contributors. Love you all. Thank you so much. But we're excited about the story, the performances, the production value that we're shooting for, like Slam Dance, one of the film fests we're going to get in. It's probably a long shot, but it has more of a chance of getting in if we actually try and go for it. So October 12th is the deadline for Slam Dance, or Slam. Was it Slam Fest? Slam Dance. I don't know. It's the one in Park City that's across from the other big Park City one. Anyhow, but yeah, I mean, we're going for it, man. We're going for it. So we're in post, and we hope to be done with it October and have a screening at a theater for friends, family around November.
Awesome. Is there what's been your experience on fundraising, and what led you to go down that avenue on raising funds for the film?
I don't know rich people. So, no. So I think there's a couple different avenues you go down, right? The private investing, self-funding, kind of bootlegging it, or crowdfunding. There's probably there's a mixture of all that in there. We went down the fundraising path because we're still relatively new to this whole film world, and I think what we want is to have a body of work, show that we can get shit done, and show that we can deliver with quality. And I think that opens the doors for us going for, hopefully, for My Fat Feet or Buds or Drip that I'm going to do next year. That opens the doors for different avenues of funding for me. And this kind of felt where we were at right now. So, yeah.
See, that makes sense. So it's establishing that audience, the investors, if you will, to say, hey, these guys can get shit done. It looks good, quality product. And then when you start doing a feature, they're like, oh yeah, I'm all in, right? So
yeah. My goal for next year is Buds, and I want to have a signature short that's between 20 and 25 minutes long. That it has to be so good. If you're going to get that into festivals, a 20-minute film, it has to be really, really good, right? You're right. you got Cozen into something, which is a feature, which is incredible. It's awesome, man.
Well, that's the funny thing. It's a short. It's only 30 minutes long, but there were some festivals that said it's a feature, and I could submit it as a short. And then West Sound had it as a feature. So I'm like, you know, I don't know.
It's hard though. It's hard. You have a film that length. It has to have story, performance, quality. All have to be high level, right? And I think that if I can pull off Buds as kind of my next one going into next year, that can really show. I can do a little bit longer. You know, I can absolutely do 3 minutes. I can do 10. I can do 15. Was what I'm targeting Fire and Oak. And I can do this one. Now I'm ready for my feature in 2026, 2027. So that's the goal.
So you have Fire and Oaks in post. Buds is next year. Do you have anything happening in the near future?
So technically I'm signed up for the Horror 48. I might be going to Screamfest in LA. Bones got into Screamfest playing at the TCL theaters in LA. It's probably good. It'd be great to see it in those theaters. Yeah, man, thanks. It'd be great to see it in those theaters, and there's probably a crap ton of networking opportunities there. So we'll see. We'll see. But if I don't go, Horror 48. And then there's another one that I'm talking to Stephen Carrillo, who is DP for Fire and Oak, for Invited. I've worked with Stephen a lot. He's awesome. Stephen's fantastic. Him and I are talking about a horror short, probably under 10 minutes, called Drip. And this was actually I did this as a student film, just one man crew. And I think that where we're at with the script on this one is I can have the audience feeling just super anxious. Just like you're at the point where you're just like, that was such a ride that you need to come down. I think what we're talking about from a shot list, what we're talking about from a script, we can deliver that high quality, high anxious, next level horror short is what we're after with Drip. So that one's probably coming before Buds.
Awesome. I want to see it.
Yeah.
All right, Ed, we're going to dock the ship. What is your favorite film production tech?
Film production tech. So I'm not that technical, so I don't know specifics on it. But I will say that having use of a timecode slate is incredible. The time syncing that happens with Scott Taylor has one. I don't know what brand it is or anything along those lines, but literally for Fire and Oak, it was take everything, sync by timecode, and as I drag them into my timeline, I have all the lavs, the boom, all lined up, and I didn't have to think about it. Just mind
so you're
blowing.
Editing. You're editing time.
I'm not, but
okay.
I'm a control freak. I'm a control freak, so I like to have access to things. So
you're like, I want to see it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
I was doing QC, man. I was doing QC for it.
Yeah. Just make sure we got everything. Hey, look, the audio's lined up and synced up for me. That's great. When you use a timecode slate, though, don't you have to have certain gear that actually talks to it?
Oh yeah,
and all that, right?
Yeah. There was receivers going on there and stuff like that. And again, I'm hand wavy over that because I didn't set that up. I was the recipient of Steven and Scott's magic. What they did there.
Don't tell my wife. My wife actually wants one of those.
Okay. It's game changing, man. It's game changing. Yeah. The other thing is comms. Headsets with micers and being on a channel and stuff. When we were in Harbor Island, Steven brought those, and as an AD on Fire and Oak, just comms that was also game changer. Felt really good just being that close to some key crew and everything there was
That's
good.
Awesome.
I was gonna say tech wise though, the technical I get is an editing software because it's as close as I get, and DaVinci Resolve is by far. Mainly because I don't know Premiere, but I freaking love Resolve, man. It's good. That's where I do all my stuff.
I've tidbit. So when I made Cousin, I wanted to learn Resolve, and the only way I can learn anything is to actually have a purpose. And so I made Cousin and said, I'm going to edit this on Resolve, and it's going to force me to learn it. And I got most of it done fairly okay. The color on Cousin is not great, but I was learning. And then I did do some After Effects for the title sequence, and that was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, Resolve. 19 just came out, so
Oh yeah,
there's some good features in there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts as a director, as a writer, as a producer? What are your thoughts on AI?
It's a tool, right? As a writer, I look at it as a assistant almost, right? So
Yeah.
I've used it. I've used it in the sense of, hey, I'm looking for a word that's like this, but it's yeah, I don't know, I can't think of the exact use case, but say something like a synonym of this or something along those lines, and give me examples. And it really is like having just a assistant there to throw ideas back and forth and kind of do that. So I absolutely don't want to let the AI create anything I use as the actual part of the art, but I want to
Yeah.
use it to help me just as I would have a collaborator in terms of bouncing ideas back and stuff like that. I think that's where, I mean, it's going to be so much more prevalent in that space and other spaces that I think that as a writer, director, producer, editor, uh, um, graphic designer, embracing that, using that as a tool is your key to being its master still, right? Instead of being scared of it and stuff. Not saying that anyone got, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't realize you're a graphic designer. Is that your background
Oh,
too?
no. I'm just saying that I know graphic designers that use AI again.
Okay.
Not to. I'm just saying it's everywhere.
You got me all excited, man, because I'm like, I'm a graphic designer too. Because now I'm looking at your posters. I'm like, did you make your posters and all that stuff?
I've done a lot. So Family Strain, I did the poster for that.
Oh, nice.
I've done a couple of them. So I mean, I have limited chops in graphic design, but mainly don't know what I'm doing. It's all just let's try this.
It works, yeah. Let me take a look at Family Strain. I gotta see this. Very good.
Nice.
Reminds me of a TV show.
That's exactly what we're after, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, good. I'm thanks. That's exactly what the whole thing we're after is. This we're a very Always Sunny in Philadelphia with kind of an 80s vibe is what we're after. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. Castañeda, how can people reach you if they want to be part of your 28 crew film team? If they want to act for you, work with you, how can people reach you? What's the best way?
Absolutely. Welcome. Come one, come all. Subliminal Ed Films. That's me on Facebook. That's me on Instagram. That's me on YouTube. SubliminalEdFilms.com is also our website, which has outdated information, but at least links to how to send me an email, how to get in touch with me with all the socials and stuff like that.
Where did you come up with your title? I can't say it now. Subliminal Ed Films.
Subliminal Ed Films. So I'm going to bring it full circle here. When I was in the band Fizzband's Magic, we were very dumb and thought we were better than we were, but also very funny people, or at least funny in our own little teenage, early 20 eyes. So anyhow, we were playing a show in Toledo, Ohio, this place called the Bijou that had big screens in the background, and the promoter guy was like, "Hey, you can put on any video you want." And at the time, this was VHS, right? Even before compact discs and stuff like that. So the lead singer, his parents had a camera and stuff, and we we're like, let's do a stop motion Play-Doh because that whole Tool video came out of claymation, but let's do it with Play-Doh there. And we spent, I want to say, 3 full days locked up together doing different animations of Play-Doh to get maybe 45 seconds worth of video out. You know? But the one thing that came out of it, because my friends are also awesome, are also assholes, is they made this little fat Mexican guy with a sombrero, and they would plug it in every now and then. So we'd have something going on, and they'd put it in there. And look, it's Subliminal Ed. It's Subliminal Ed. And
oh my gosh,
that's been my handle for games and at work. My handle Subliminal Ed's been my since 1992 Subliminal Ed, and it felt like a natural progression to, hey, Subliminal Ed's doing films. So,
well, that's awesome. You took it, you embraced it, and you're like, I'm going to use it now.
Yeah, exactly.
In your face.
Exactly.
And then you're gonna,
man.
When you turn on to watch a movie, it's gonna pop up right there in your face. See, it worked. I did it. Yeah. Awesome.
I want to give a shout out to Magdalena Clooney, who did my logo, which I love, and it's all about building a brand, and I think I'm getting that out there a lot, and thanks to her for doing that. She's awesome.
Very classy. All right. Well, thank you, Ed. Thank you for coming on the Downing Cut.
Yeah, man, it's fun.
I appreciate your time. Yeah. And is there anything else you want to talk about or plug before we hang up?
Well, first off, this has been fun, man. Joe, thank you so much. I love what you're doing here. Like I said, I watched the one with Aaron on there. I love what he's doing. He's doing some awesome stuff. But the fact of where you're rooted and what you're trying to do is just incredible. And having me as a guest I'm humbled, I'm honored, and appreciative. So I wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you. When you're ready to launch anything, come back. We'll do a 30-minute segment. You can invite people. Yeah. And I'll do an interview for you. We could promote it.
Yeah.
What's a funny story about Aaron is he goes, I have a podcast too. I said, oh, what do you do? What you're doing.
I know. I saw.
And I was like, my attention goes, ooh. Okay, sorry. I didn't know that. Sorry.
Oh, that's hilarious, man.
It's all good, all good. I think it's good because I think we need to build our community and we need to get to know each other. And I think that feeling of, do you ever feel this? Like it's part of a competition? I mean, obviously you do 48 hours, it's a competition, right? My film was better. We won this, we won that. But how do you get over that to just embrace the community and say, hey, we're all in this together. We just want to improve, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, sorry, I don't mean to go long, but I just want to riff off that. The one thing I love about the 48s is the connections I've made, not just with my team, but like I feel super close to the Film Vandals and the Thai guys, and some of these other folks that we've been kind of coming up. Tommy Heffernan is awesome as well, right? I seeing them makes me happy outside of film and stuff like that. We see each other at festivals, different events like that. That's great. The other thing I do want to promote is a film collective that I'm part of here called Chroma Dreams. Matthew McIntyre, who's also a DP, kind of started this between him, Joe Jacobs, who's a writer from Tacoma, and Dan Hickey, who's the leader of the Seattle Filmmaker horror group, right? The four of us were kind of getting together. Also, James Gamble, who's another writer here. Well, 5 of us kind of got together and trying to help form this. And one of the tenets, if you will, we weren't that strict about it, but was building a very collaborative community. How do we enable this? So we've done events like screenwriting events. Table reads. Matthew's done some hosting of film fests at the, or not film fest, but film screenings in Tacoma. We want to do some other things like log jams where you have some log lines. Let's have an event. Let's have an audience there. There's a lot of things there. We want to do some reel shoots of help actors get reels and stuff. But there's a very active community on Discord for Chroma Dreams. And one of the tenets is let's learn together through production is kind of what our goal. And there's some awesome people that are part of that group and doing like the one cool thing about that is seeing maybe a year and a half, 2 years in existence, our numbers grow, and just so many people are doing so many things. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We did this whole block of 15-second shorts that I helped produce. One called "Not Alone" that it's playing somewhere. But Jim Dykes is the one that wrote and directed that one. And but I mean, there's 15-second shorts that were created in 4 weeks, and people just doing stuff. So shout out to Chroma James. You can find us. Go to solidified.com. I think I have a link. If I not, I will have a link to Chroma James.
Yeah, send me a link. I'll link it in the show notes.
Awesome. We'll do.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
All right. Ed, thank you again. I appreciate
man.
your time.
Yeah, you too.
Great
Thanks.
getting to know you too.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Well, we'll be in touch, man.
Yeah, you seem okay.
All
All right.
right. All right, man.
Hey, which guitar do you prefer?